This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff, plus Alex and Nate. Nate has returned to the show.
Nate's back in the country. Woo!
Yeah, one way or another, I was able to get back. That wasn't the problem.
He's American again.
So she didn't kill you. I'm proud of you.
The night's still young.
But guess who's not there right now, Jim? You didn't ask what Nate did.
That's true. What have you done with Sam?
I sent her back to college.
Aw. That's nice of you.
That's one way to handle a situation.
That's true. That's true.
Today is Monday, October 31st, and it's time to get spooky up in here. Happy Halloween, folks.
Yes, happy Halloween to all you ghosts and goblins.
You cool cats and kittens. I was doing Carol Baskins for Halloween just now.
I appreciate that.
I think we got it. As a reminder, I am Muff, person who steers this rudderless ship. Alongside is...
I'm Jim, the Ohio Homer.
I thought you were just going to leave it at I'm Jim. I'm Alex, the medical degenerate.
And during football season, we have Nate join us, and Nate is the guru of officiating.
So
His title sounds so much better than ours.
I don't know about that. Depends how you look at it.
Okay, fair enough.
As always, remember you can follow along with our episodes on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and any other place where your podcasts are. We are also on YouTube, sportsstuff.w/Jim Muff. You can also follow us on Facebook by that moniker, at SportsJimMuff on Instagram and Twitter. Be sure to follow, comment, rate, review, tickle, like, retweet, comment.
Poke!
That was in unison. That's the one thing we ever do in unison.
And before we get into football for this past week, Alex, give us an update on the Pittsburgh Penguins.
The Penguins are 4-4-1 and on a downward slide. They lost to Jim's Kraken last night, 3-1.
The Kraken. That's my third favorite team.
I was gonna say I literally just said that almost as a joke. Jim has 85 favorite NHL.
That's the way
NFL,
it's got to be, man.
MLB teams and.
No. I don't have any favorite baseball team.
Okay.
Let's be clear.
Not even Ohio teams, Ohio Homer?
I mean, when I was a kid, I loved the Reds, but even then, I don't have a favorite. When it comes to hockey, I got three. Obviously, the Blue Jackets.
Three.
The Blue Jackets, and then it's Vegas, and then it's the Kraken.
Okay. Yeah. We make fun of me for my favorite mascots, but Jim can have three favorite NHL teams, and we're okay with it.
I do, yes.
All right. Anything else before we get into the show today, gents?
I've got no comment after that.
Okay. So let's get into the show. Our opinions aren't too tough, rough, or gruff. We are proof that you don't have to be an expert to have an opinion. So just
shut up and sit down.
This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. Starting with the NFL breakdown.
Breakdown.
NFL Week 8. Is that correct?
It is.
Yeah.
All right. Starting with Thursday night football, pull the Band-Aid off real quick for Nate here. Ravens taking on the Bucks. The Ravens open up the passing game in this one and toss onto Tom Brady's woes from the past week and come away with a 27-22 win. Lamar Jackson throws for 2 touchdowns on 38 attempts, while Tom has another lackluster supporting outing from the running game, which only had 44 total yards.
44 yards.
44 yards. Is it time to put a fork in Tom and the Bucks to suck their blood?
This is I forgot we're doing Halloween theme.
Nate, what do you think? Is Giselle the succubus of Halloween?
If you can look at it that way, depending which side of the couple you're on. But as far as them going down the toilet, I mean, their schedule coming up doesn't get any easier. I mean, they got the Rams at home next week, so that's one I know they really want to get back after that almost come back in the divisional round last year. And then they go to Germany and play in Seattle. And then, I mean, I know they got the Browns coming up, and they still got everybody in their division, I think, one more time. And then they got San Francisco, they've got Cincinnati, Arizona. So, I mean, all those teams can definitely score with them at will, but it's just going to be a matter if they can get healthy and right the ship, because right now it's not looking pretty.
You're not wrong. It's not pretty. I think I might be Team Giselle just because.
Because she's hot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't fault you there.
Okay. Just being honest about the reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, moving into Sunday morning football in London town, the Broncos taking on the Jaguars. In a game where people were just hoping that there would be points scored, they found out that calisthenics that Russ was doing in the fight over are worth it as the Broncos win 21-17. Poor outing from Trevor Lawrence, who only has 133 yards passing and tosses two interceptions.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence looked like garbage from what I can tell. The fact that the Broncos finally won a game, I guess, good on them.
This game just says, like, I think it answers way less questions and throws out a lot more question marks for these two teams. Like, do the Jaguars, are they a fluke? Is Russ he just needs to wake up and do more calisthenics? Like, what is up with these two teams?
What are the Jags a fluke on?
Being good, they were a little bit good at the beginning.
Yeah, they showed
Give
promise.
them that they showed promise.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know about fluke because they're 2-6 after today.
Right.
But there was hope for them. Like, they had some
That's
rough beats, and it was like, oh, they'll be okay. There's hope there.
2 wins is probably more than they've had most seasons.
Yeah.
I'm with Jim on that one.
I watched the first quarter, if not the first half of this game, and then Jacksonville took it to them in that first half.
And that's what they did to the Giants, too, the week before, I think. Or 2 weeks ago.
I mean, early on, Russ didn't look good either. This first pass should have been intercepted. They went 3 and out, and they get the ball back, and he throws a pick.
So are we saying that the Jaguars just don't have enough for the long haul?
I guess, because like we just said,
I mean,
the Giant game, I mean,
They're 2-6. No, they don't.
I'm saying inside of one game, Muff, you ass.
Well,
Are we
one
saying
game is a microcosm of their season so far.
Are the Broncos good again?
No. Good try, Alex. Good try.
I'd stir the ball out.
Good effort. I think the only reason we thought the Jags are good is because they beat the Chargers, but I think we've come to find the Chargers maybe not be as
No,
good
they're
as,
not good.
as we wanted them to be. Now they've had
No.
injury issues, but I think that was why maybe we were higher on the Jags earlier after their win than we probably should have been. Next, getting into the Dolphins versus the Lions. The Dolphins climb back from an early 14-0 hole and come away with a 31-27 win behind a near 400-yard passing effort from Tua, who tosses 3 touchdowns, 2 to Jalen Waddle, while the passing game was paced with 188 yards from Tyreek Hill.
They mentioned a couple times on NFL Red Zone today, but it was a little video game-ish at the beginning. Like everything was either like a big play, a touchdown, or an interception, turnover. It was like always like big excitement for that, at least the first half of that game.
well, then I saw something too on highlights when the 4 o'clock games were coming on. They said any game so far, I think they said this season, that Tua has started and finished, they've won.
Is Tua for real?
Muff has to answer that. That was my question. Muff.
I need to see Tua get through 2/3 of the season doing what he's doing, and I will say he's real. I'm not saying he has to have outrageous performances.
What week is that?
Week 12, 13-ish.
Okay, so note that down, Alex. Like, set an alarm. 4 weeks from now.
If the Dolphins are still doing what they're doing now, and, obviously if he gets hurt, he can't be real yet.
Well, and then looking ahead for the Dolphins, they should take care of business because their next 3, they go to Chicago, they host Cleveland, and then they host Houston.
Right. So if he doesn't make it through those 3 weeks with good performances and wins, then I think there's reason to say 2 is not it.
All right, so 4 weeks from now, we're going to call you on this and be like, Muff, what do you think?
Fair
Doing a
enough.
callback.
We'll do the callback.
Fair.
Fair. Next, Panthers versus Falcons in an unanticipated matchup for supremacy in the NFC South. Yes, you heard that.
Yeah, like
Correct.
that is the worst thing we've ever
Yeah.
written up.
That statement in and of itself is a little
Oh God.
But honestly, and one that didn't disappoint, the Panthers tie up the game with seconds left thanks to an improbable deep bomb from PJ Walker to DJ Moore. Oh, but then Moore takes off his helmet in celebration, drawing a penalty and backing up the extra point attempt, which then leads to a missed extra point and overtime. Panthers kicker Eddie Pinheiro
But
misses
still,
another field goal in overtime. Alex?
I was going to make the comment. How far? I mean, an extra point is what? And then how far back did you back it up? Are we going to say?
Ref?
I think I'm trying to think.
It
So
was
I
it
think they
ended up being a
snapped it.
42 or
I
43
guess my
yarder.
point is, are we really going to blame DJ Moore here?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think it's a 33-yard extra point and then 15 back from there. So he was looking at like a 40-some yard extra point.
I guess I didn't think of it like
I think it was only 43. The math wasn't adding up to
it's
me
under
either.
50, I think.
Yeah, the math wasn't adding up because I was watching this as it was happening.
Because I think they
And-
snap it from the 15, right? On an extra point.
Yeah.
So you go back roughly like 7 yards.
Yeah.
So that puts you at 22 plus the end zone. It's like
30.
32 or 33-yard extra
Yeah, I
point.
didn't realize it was a 15-yard penalty, I guess.
Yeah, it's an unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, I guess.
But
you're
I
right.
think it was only a 43-yard extra point. That's what didn't add up to me. So I don't know if there's a rule on the field goal that it can only be 10 or something. It was really odd to me that the extra point wasn't 15 more yards. Didn't make sense. Unless they just totally misannounced it and I wasn't paying attention, but they said 43. But yes, I'm going to blame DJ Moore for that. Eddie Pinheiro then misses another field goal in overtime for the Panthers to win, and the Falcons knock one home and win 37-34 to now control the NFC South, or I'm going to refer to it now as the NFC Suck.
Can we get to the referee for a hot second? We usually have a section for him, but I really want to hit this one home for a second. What is the point in that penalty?
In what, the unsportsmanlike?
Yes.
Because I mean, like I think whoever was on the game, it may have been Greg Olson, maybe. He's like, yeah, that's a big play for your team, but act like you've been there, done that before. I mean, it's basically just showboating. Like you tied the game, you didn't win the game, and it goes to show because you lost in overtime.
I still don't get why that's a penalty. Like,
Yeah, like who cares? I see what Jim's saying. Who cares?
Mhm.
Like, what did it affect the game? It wasn't cheating. It didn't help you win. It wasn't getting in the other person's face and like stimulating a fight.
Well, because I mean, you look at it. I mean, everything down from the NFL goes all the way down to the Pee Wee level. Because if you see that in the NFL game, then you're going to see these little 7 and 8-year-olds doing the same shit. Because trust me, they do it.
Be better parents.
It don't matter.
I don't really care that a Pee Wee leaguer takes his helmet off.
No, they just don't want that bad for the game because then you're going to get guys on the other team. They're going to go, you see what that guy just did? He's rubbing it in our face, da da da. Now I'm going to go head on him.
AKA Terrell Owens.
Okay, that is the only valid point that, like, I see what you're saying. Like he's putting his
they
face
just don't
out
want
there.
like an instigator to start shit down the line.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna walk away from that argument for that logic.
Okay, I'm just going to toss this out as a counterpoint to I guess support or at least provide further evidence as to why I would be on Jim and Alex's side. Is we put cameras on the field for when turnovers happen for pretty much the whole team to go down there and celebrate.
Mm-hmm. I'm not a fan of that crap either.
I'm not saying I'm a
He's
fan of
nothing
it.
but consistent.
Yeah, that's why I love Nate.
I'm not saying I'm a fan of it. I'm just saying I really don't think that it's like a penalty worthy thing. I think it's annoying, but it's not. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, let me throw this out there though. If he goes out there and does that, how would you like it for it to be a delay of game penalty?
That'd be
I'm
different.
okay with that. I'm okay with that.
That
makes sense.
Yes, because there's a reason there as to why
Yes.
it's an issue.
Right, celebrate all you want, but if it screws your team up
Yes.
for
If
the
it
next,
takes away from the game, then
I'm
we throw a flag.
not holding the play clock for you.
Yeah.
okay.
You take your helmet off and you're running across the end zone to the sideline. That's your business.
But the
You
clock.
take your helmet off and you're in the end zone doing whatever the newest dance craze is.
I do like the waddle. That's funny as hell.
Flag. But let's move on.
Cardinals taking on the Vikings. The Vikings continue their strong start to the season, improving to 6-1, and leave Kyler Murray at an 0-1 record since the new Call of Duty release, winning 34-26. 3 touchdowns accounted for by Kirk Cousins and 111 yards rushing from Dalvin Cook in this one.
Kirk Cousins also had a rushing touchdown. I would like to point out.
Can we confirm he's purchased it?
FaZe Clan is all in this. What are you talking about?
Okay.
I can't sit here and confirm it like definitively, but I gotta imagine his account has purchased this release.
Well, first off, he probably didn't purchase it. It's probably given to him.
It's true.
I was gonna say.
But can we confirm that he's actually online playing?
Who knows?
No, there's no doubt he is.
I'm not on it playing, so I wouldn't know.
I believe that there's already been maybe this is another team. I thought it was like D-Hop, Kyler, and somebody else were playing, and it was like a team bonding thing.
Okay.
No, I think wasn't that Juju that said that last week?
That's what it was. I knew it was somebody that was in that social realm, and that's correct. It was Juju, Mahomes, and I forget who the third person was.
All right.
Kelsey, maybe.
Kelsey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have a bye week. They're allowed to be playing.
Well, I think it was before the bye week.
Just saying.
Yeah, I think he was saying they were doing it throughout the week or whatever. So
Yeah,
if he would have said that and they lost that game, he would have caught hell.
Oh, yeah.
for sure. Up next, the Bears taking on the Cowboys. Dak looks to be back as the Cowboys put up the most points in the NFL this season, outscoring the Bears 49-29 to keep pace with the Eagles in the NFC East. Tony Pollard is the real motor behind the boys' offense in this one. Runs for 131 yards and 3 scores in place of Zeke, who sat this one out.
They say keep pace. They're not undefeated. Are you just saying with the record within the conference division?
Yeah, they're keeping pace.
Yeah, you keep that sense of urgency right there that you can't really slip up.
Yeah, I digress.
I wouldn't say Dak's back though. I mean, his 2 games back, he's played Detroit and Chicago.
He looked good though. I mean, he looked good today. He looked better today than he did against Detroit. Even.
Well, he put together a full game.
I thought he looked good today. I'm not a Cowboys fan by the farthest stretch of the imagination, but I thought that Dak looked good today.
What?
I don't think. Let me just answer the question on the table. I think Zeke is not the future. I think Pollard is. I'm going to go on a limb here and say that Dak does not look to form of the money that he's getting paid. And
How many points does he have to score?
But he didn't look like he was as strong as the Dak could be. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I'm saying, what does that look like for you then?
Yeah, mind you, Jim, his stat line today, 21 of 27, 250, 2 touchdowns and a pick.
He doesn't throw that pick.
And then he also had 5 rushing attempts for 34 and another touchdown.
Okay, fine.
So he has to play a perfect game to be worth the money.
Yeah. To erase some of that, let's pull that back up in here. I think, yeah.
I think leading a team to the most points by an NFL team this season, I think puts some doubters to rest there. But you can have your opinion, even if it's a wrong one.
I also hold on. I also want to say, Justin Fields.
Oh, here we go.
Looks better.
You mean they're letting him run for his life for a purpose now?
Yes, thank you. Like, that's the best way. I couldn't put my finger on it, but yes, that's exactly right. Thank you. They're letting him do what he needs to do for a purpose. Yes, that's good.
They've just built in his running attack into the offense now instead of just trying to keep him in the pocket.
Yeah, thank you. That sums it up. Perfect. Because he actually throws the ball. There are a couple passes where it was Mahomian like.
He does have some arm angle stuff. I'll give you that.
Yes, and he does so while he's running. That I kind of wish was at Ohio State now.
Well, now we're moving on because you brought college into the NFL.
That's where I knew we were going somewhere like that when he said, "Let's talk about Justin Fields for a second."
Right.
I could have told you this is where that was going to end up because there's.
And I know. All right, let's take the Ohio State out of it. Like what he can do outside of a pocket.
No, I'm not.
Is valuable.
I see what you're saying. His running aspect is valuable. He can't throw the ball though. He's never going to be a valuable quarterback in the NFL.
He doesn't have the arm strength that Mahomes has.
Yes.
Yeah.
Raiders taking on the Saints. Vegas should surrender their bet and their hands this season and hope to fight next year as they are blanked by Andy Dalton and the Saints 24-0. Dalton tosses 2 scores and Alvin Kamara has 3 total touchdowns in this one, while the Raiders can only muster 183 yards of total offense in the losing effort, and I believe about 60 or 70 of those were in the last 2 or 3 minutes in garbage time.
That's a coaching problem in Vegas.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought Vegas was going to be good this year. On paper, I was like, they'll be a force to be reckoned with. And I feel like anytime you look at a team, and I could be wrong here, but anytime I look at a team and think on paper they're good and they aren't good, it's usually because the pieces weren't put together appropriately.
Yeah, I think Josh McDaniels is definitely feeling his seat heat up a little bit. Because I mean, I'm just like you said, the stat line wasn't great. And I'm like looking down here. I'm like, where in the hell is Devontae Adams? 1 catch for 3 yards.
Yeah, I do know he came into the game hurt, but you would still if he's hurt that badly, he was still playing
1 catch
towards the end of the game. Well, that's what I'm saying. If he was truly that hurt, then he should have just not been out there. Like if he was that ineffective,
if you're
because
1
of
catch
injury.
hurt and you're Devontae Adams, you're right.
Yeah, but maybe maybe Rich Bisaccia should have got the job there. Just saying.
You never know. You want to skip the next one, Muff?
No, we got to talk about Steelers taking on the Eagles. The Eagles keep their perfect season alive with a 35-13 win over the hapless Steelers. We're just hoping that TJ Watt is somehow worth 20-plus points a game and a hopeful return next week. Jalen Hurts tosses 4 scores in a winning effort, and the Eagles maintain the top spot in the NFC Beast.
I don't think this is any statement on the Steelers, and I hate saying this. Like, the Steelers are injury depleted, and they're trying to find their way. I still have faith in your coach. I think this is more of a statement on how good are the damn Eagles. And I'm finally going to say it this week. Like, the Eagles are good, and I hate saying it.
I also hate that it is true.
No, it is. I mean, they're a good team, period. The AJ Brown had 3 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have Jalen Hurts, who is a threat with his arm and legs at this point. You have Miles Sanders. You just have enough weapons on that team that their Eagles are a team that doesn't have to explode to win games. Like, I feel like sometimes teams, like if they're absolutely shooting on all cylinders and they're going to blow someone out, they'll win. But then they'll have weeks where they look really bad. And I feel like the Eagles are a very balanced team and that they just come out and play their game every week and control the game and handle it. And that's the scary teams to me.
Yeah. No, I'm with Alex. Any other thoughts on the Eagles or the Steelers?
No.
All right, Patriots taking on the Jets. Without Breece Hall and other key pieces, the Jets cannot keep their winning ways, losing to the Pats 22-17.
Zach Wilson screwed him in this one. He had a couple bad mistakes.
Mac Jones got the start. Brings this one all the way. No Bailey Zappi in this one. Toss for 1 score. While, as Alex has alluded to, Zach Wilson throws 3 interceptions in a losing effort.
I think Zach Wilson's got to be on a short leash.
Really?
I mean, they're in a decent spot right now. They're 5-3. I mean, they're kind of up there. I mean, they're not going to catch the Bills, let's be real. But, I mean, they could potentially be a playoff team if they keep winning. They've been looking good defensively. And, as like you said, Zach Wilson can just throw the ball to his own team.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm not saying like Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson looked like dog poo today. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think he's on like a quote unquote short leash. But today he made bad choices.
It was year 2.
Carry over. Yeah,
Right.
year 2.
I don't have much to say about this game. It impacts me very little.
Next, we have the Titans taking on the Texans. The Titans take to the ground in the absence of Ryan Tannehill starting at quarterback, with Malik Willis getting the start, but he only throws 10 passes all day, and the Titans ride King Henry all the way to Victory Town in a 17-10 win. Henry carried the ball 32 times for 219 yards and 2 scores, and Dontrell Hilliard added another 83 yards as the Titans outgained the Texans 354 yards to 161 in the game.
At what point, when you see that stat and you're the Texans, do you go, like, we are bad?
Did you see the clip they showed of Henry's stats the last 4 against the Texans?
No.
Every game, including today, the past 4, he scored at least 2 touchdowns and have rushed for over 200 yards.
Good grief.
So next time they play, if you have fantasy lineups or you're trying to make some bets, just bet all of the alternate rushing lines up for Derrick
For
Henry.
sure.
Speaking of bets, I saw it. I know I should have saved it, but I think it was like one of those Twitter accounts that said this guy had a parlay of 4 different dudes to score 2+ touchdowns. It was like Kamara and it hit, and then it was AJ Brown, it hit. I don't remember who the other one it was, and it hit, and then he cashed out.
Oh, he cashed it out?
He cashed it out, and all he had to do was have Derrick Henry 2+ touchdowns. He would have won like 25 grand, and he cashed out.
Cashed out for
hard,
like $3,000, right?
Oh, I'm gonna see if I can find it.
I think he cashed out for like 2,500, $3,000, but it was like a 25
yeah,
grand bet.
There we go. It was by Pickwise. So the guy bet $10, and the total payout would have been $25,359.75 to have Alvin Kamara 2+ touchdowns, AJ Brown 2+ touchdowns, Jalen Waddle, and Derrick Henry.
That's a bad break, but it's also I can see where I think with one guy left, if I'm getting that much money, I'm probably
gonna he cashed out for $2,400 on a $10 bet.
That's what I mean. I'm gonna cash out every time.
Yeah. And I mean, there's people that will say, hey, cash out and then put like $1,000 of that on Derrick Henry's 2+ touchdowns. And if he hits, then you still get money out of it. Some more money.
No, but... I don't think I could put $1,000 on it.
Well, that's thinking in terms of.
If I cashed out 2,400 and you said put 100 on it, and it was like Derrick Henry 2 touchdowns plus 200, you're gonna win like a couple $100. Okay. But
that's rough.
Okay. He still won the 2,500.
Yeah, he still won. Yeah.
All right.
It depends. For me, it would depend on if I have Muff with me or not. No Muff, I'd be like, let it ride. Let's go. Muff in my ear, I'd be like, I don't know, Muff.
Well, to be fair, if I was in your ear on that one, I'd say let's see how the first half of this game goes. Because if he scores a touchdown, then your cash out's probably going to go up. And if you get through like the first quarter and a half, he doesn't score a touchdown, the payout's going to go down, but it's still going to be a significant payout on your $10 bet.
Yeah.
So that's probably what I would say is let's watch the first quarter and a half and see where things stand.
Always stick with Muff.
And that's why we would be better choices with Muff around.
Exactly.
All right. Giants taking on the Seahawks. Alex, I'm just going to let you do this.
So in a game of teams that no one thought would be in positions they're in, the Seahawks defend Seattle, and the 12th man does its job to take down the Giants 27-13, capitalizing on the Giants' mistakes in tossing in key scores with Geno Smith tossing 2 touchdowns and Kenneth Walker the third adding another on the ground. The Seahawks are now 5-3 atop the NFC West.
Jim, how happy are you, Alex?
I love seeing a Mountaineer do well in the NFL. Especially on a year that I have this, like, I'm obviously Steelers are my number 1 team. I'm never going to say I would root for the Seahawks or the Steelers. I'm a Yinzer through and through. But in a year when the Steelers suck, this is when I need something like this, like another little bit of a nugget to root for. Go Geno.
Plus, if you would have said, hey, at the end of 8 weeks, Seattle was going to be first in the division, who would have believed that?
No, nobody.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, like I'll go back to that with Geno Smith. If you'd have asked me, I'd have been like, no. I was like, I hope for the best for him, but do you know what I mean? Like, I'll be the first to admit I didn't think it'd be this good.
I don't think anybody would have. Even the biggest Geno Smith fans.
And I'm pretty close.
Next, you got the Commanders taking on the Colts. The Colts trot out Sam Ehlinger for his first career start, and Taylor Heineke gets his second start while Carson Wentz is on the IR. And it's the Commanders. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. Coming out on top in this one, 17-16. Heineke tosses for 1 score and rushes for another, while the Colts, able to move the ball, can only punch 1 into the end zone all day.
Colts are done.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Working them.
Yeah. They're playing for next year now. It's all that's left. It's all that's left is to hope that Ehlinger does something this year to prepare for next year.
Well, there's enough games that you get a good draft.
This isn't the NBA. We're not tanking.
No, I know they're not tanking, but I said Allinger blows enough games. Not on purpose.
Yeah, we'll see. See who they're eyeing in the draft. TBD. And lastly, in Sunday day games, the 49ers taking on the Rams. The Christian McCaffrey show is in full effect as he pulls the trifecta, throwing, running, and catching a score to lead the 49ers to a 31-14 win over the Rams, who are officially on the fraud list, according to me.
According to me.
They're unable to sustain any offensive efforts despite going up against a depleted 49ers defense that also didn't have Deebo Samuel on the field this week. With the addition of Christian McCaffrey, are 49ers auto contenders for the Super Bowl now?
They're definitely contenders. I don't know about auto contenders.
Yeah, I wouldn't say auto contenders. They got to see if they can keep this thing going. But the way they look today with McCaffrey looking like a true number one back, like you said, throwing, rushing, and catching, yeah, they're definitely a bigger threat now than they were 3 weeks ago.
Hey, I'm a little. Alex? Do you know that there's was a WVU guy on the Niners?
Yes,
Why have you not brought this gentleman up?
because it's not as exciting as Geno Smith being a quarterback.
So you're
But it's
just
exciting for Jim. Do you know why it's exciting for Jim?
Jim, go on, Jim.
because he went to my high school.
Elaborate.
Colton McKivitz
Mm-hmm.
went to Union Local, then went to WVU, and now he's a 49er.
That's why I know. So that's well. Not only was he a very good mountaineer, but my dad is very into Ohio Valley people that go to college and play football and following them. So he was very big on Colton McKivitz.
Now he's on.
In.
Now he's on the IR for 8 weeks, but
yes,
Still into the NFL.
I'm very happy for him as well. Geno Smith's
Yeah.
just a bigger story.
I think he actually got some significant playing time either last year or 2 years ago, too.
Yeah, no,
he was playing until this injury.
yeah, no, he was like, in the mix for sure.
Big deal.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, yes. Sorry, Colton McKivitz. I know you're probably listening to our podcast. I don't want to downplay.
I'm just calling out your fandom here. Like, if you're gonna love the very limited people
I
from
do.
WVU that come out to the NFL,
First of all,
I mean, I got a plethora of
let me start
people.
listing all the
that I
Ohio
can
State
pick
Buckeyes
from.
you haven't talked about yet.
There's too many to count. You only got 2.
We can count them.
We
There's
have
a
way
number.
more than 2.
It's-
David Sills,
I'm just making sure that you're up to date on who you have in the league.
up to date. You make me want to punch you in the face sometimes, Jim.
Will Greer, Geno Smith, Daryl Worley, Mark Lewinsky,
There we go.
Yoni Kajust, David Sills.
Muff, you got a computer in front of you. You're not a WVU fan. The WVU homer probably should have his shit together. Is all I'm saying.
F you. Why are you attacking my fandom all of a sudden today?
Just saying. Just saying.
How's
You and
Mr.
your freaking. First of all, I would never.
Okay.
my
Moving
life.
on.
I would never
How's-
in my life wear another competitive college team's shirt. So the fact that you have a pitch shirt makes me question your Ohio State fandom.
Well, I just do it for you, buddy.
The only
okay,
other college
Alex.
shirts of
It's okay, Alex.
it is. There we go. Thanks, thanks.
He has to. What else is he gonna wear? You gonna wear Penn State this weekend? I don't think so.
He could have. He was pretty damn close. You're lucky y'all turned it on.
We're still in the NFL. Come on, let's go.
You're wearing a losing team shirt too, Jim.
That's true.
Yeah. Exactly.
Get out of here.
Winner on because I'm not wearing a team.
All right. What's our live look in the Packers versus Bills right now, Nate?
Josh Allen literally just threw a touchdown.
To whom?
Hopefully, Diggs.
No, it was not Diggs. I actually thought Diggs moved before the snap there, but I don't know if he was in motion when I looked up. He just threw it to the corner to Dawson Knox.
Dawson Knox with the tutty. Okie dokie.
Knox.
Bills up 7-0 or 6-0 pending extra point.
6-0 pending extra point.
Okay, and in Monday Night Football, Bengals taking on the Browns. We have something riding on this, gents.
The parlay of the Punisher parlay.
Yes.
Commercial parlay is looking for Bengals minus 3.5 to cash.
So if we hit, what do we get?
$35 on a $5 bet,
Nice, $35. Let's ride.
or
Only thing it's gonna
about
save-
plus 700 odds.
Well, Jim, being in Central Ohio there with these two teams, what's the vibe around Columbus for this game?
We don't even talk about this game. Like, it's not when Ohio plays Ohio, nobody talks about it. It's just quietness.
They don't care about Ohio State. They don't care about their professional teams.
Wait a second.
Yeah, that's especially in this situation. There's no speaking.
What are you waiting on, Alex?
Sorry, that was inadvertent. Wait a second. How does Josh Allen have 1 yard passing and they have a touchdown?
Because they ran the ball all the way down the field, Alex.
Okay. Yes, I'm not watching the game. I just looked at the stats.
But
He just took a big hit on a run to get him down there too.
Well, Devin Singletary has 51 rush yards and Josh Allen has 20.
I'm gonna go with the Bengals on this one because
Well,
we have to.
I hope. I hope that's what you're getting into.
I think we should bet how many times he gets sacked.
I can't find that line.
Oh, there's got to be a line for that for as often as it happens.
I would say the over/under should be at like 4.
It's probably a good number to put it at.
I was gonna say 3.
Maybe 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 3.5. That works. So I was like,
Yeah.
I would have guessed 4.
Okay. And that wraps up this week's NFL breakdown, which leads us into
The college football breakdown.
And now Jim and I can fight.
Oh yeah, it's happening.
so you two
It's
can
happening.
fight. Do you want me to do this part and then Jim can do the Big Ten?
Yeah.
That
Okay.
way there can be real fights. Okay. In the top 25, excluding the Big Ten and Big 12 teams, number 1 Georgia jumps out early and coasts to a 42-20 victory over Florida.
Is Florida like they obviously hung in there with Georgia, but Florida is not the. They put up 20 points against Georgia, Muff.
That's hanging in.
With Georgia, yes.
Okay.
Okay, but Florida is not any good. So that when it comes to poll time, a victory over Florida should not count as.
Did they beat Utah?
Yeah, good point, Muff. Damn, thank you.
This game here, I will agree with Jim a little bit that I would have expected from Georgia. If you want to claim this as a huge victory, you needed to beat them like 42-7.
Yes, thank you.
Oh well. Never a doubt for number 3 Tennessee as they destroy number 19 Kentucky
We'll talk about
44-6.
We'll talk about this week.
Huge win. Huge win. I think this is a nice roundup win after the Bama win for their resume. I also owe Alex $5.
This win to me was the statement. Like they're like, yes, we beat Alabama and it was not a fluke. We went and smashed Kentucky. Kentucky came to us and we smashed them.
They beat the dog shit
First
out
of
of
all, have y'all ever watched a night Tennessee game?
Yes.
How cool is that tee that they light up?
Yeah.
That's very cool.
They do a lot of pageantry there.
Yeah, for the night game, which I didn't know. Like I've never been like a huge Tennessee payer attention to until this year. But that was cool.
Yeah, that's probably third on my list of places I want to go see a game. Because I don't know who I would watch like Tennessee play and be okay with it. But
you watch like Georgia, Bama, one of those.
I would, Tennessee, Georgia would be a good game to watch for me.
If you can get that ticket, that's the biggest problem.
They pulled back like a Skycam type deal, and they looked and they made like a Google Maps thing, and they put like the field goal post in the river and like dropped a little pin on it. I was like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Apparently, they were already looking to get they were already in the preparation. They were getting new field goal.
Yeah.
Like just so happened to be that they had them coming, thankfully.
Yeah.
But I guess the people stayed up to like 2 a.m. that night, like cleaning up that field. I guess is wild, but good on Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, Michigan takes back Paul Bunyan, beating Michigan State 29-7.
Jim, you comment first.
I think this showed a chink in the Michigan armor.
That was going to be my question. Do you think that because they didn't cover the spread and they didn't score as many points, now keep in mind they only gave up 1 touchdown, but they did not score many points, which in a team that has a strong offense.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut and just leave it where it's at because I don't want to go into that last game with all this shit talking.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to stay very humble.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I wasn't even trying to bait you with the shit talking. Some kind of what you said. Like I expected Michigan to come in and just like beat them like 56-7.
I just want to stack opponents that Ohio State has played and that correlate with Michigan's played. And I want people to compare the performance. That's all I want you to do.
Oh, I will sit here and tell you, I think Ohio State's a better team than Michigan.
I'm not going to say that.
I will.
You can say that. Good for you.
I know.
So
good for you. Good for you.
So when I say Michigan's a better team, what are you going to say?
We'll find out on November 26th.
Oh, so you're not going to let me have my opinion? Now we'll find out.
That's your opinion, and I'm happy that you hold that opinion. But we will find
I
out.
don't think you're happy. I think that's a lie.
I don't
Number
think
8.
you're happy.
Well, hold
Number
on.
8.
I think
Go
we
ahead,
gotta
Nate.
Survey
did you guys
says.
see the shit that happened at the end of that game.
Yeah, it's in our quick thoughts. I definitely want to talk about it, but don't spoil it.
Gotcha.
Number 8, Oregon takes care of business, beating California 42-24.
This is another one. Is that taking care of business?
They won.
Is that
Yeah, the style in which they handled it. I watched part of that game. Yeah, it's a Pac-12 game. That was
did Cal score a lot late?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a well done game on Oregon's part.
Okay. I didn't watch it. I just saw the final score and a little bit of highlights. So that's why.
Okay, unranked Louisville exercised the Demons from number 10 Wake Forest, winning 48-21.
Wolf.
That is not taking care of business.
Wolf.
Thank God I didn't take this game.
Wolf.
Yeah, I saw this. I'm just double checking. Louisville first 8 turnovers.
I definitely took this game. Hurt.
Yeah.
Wolf.
Number 11 USC gets a close win over Arizona, 45-37.
This was not taking care of business. This was winning the game, but not taking care of business.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're going to move up this week because of the nature of what happened ahead of them. But go on.
Number 12 UCLA rebounds from their recent loss and gets a win over Stanford, 38-13.
Okay, I like that win.
So we're okay with that.
I'm okay with
Stanford,
that.
who's not a good team.
UCLA isn't a Michigan or an Oregon. UCLA is a good team, and UCLA is in the top 25. UCLA beating a team 38-13, I'll accept as a win, a solid win.
That's sound logic to me.
Okay.
The fact that Jim and I are agreeing is freaking me out.
I just don't understand how you're agreeing on any of this. In my mind, 12 UCLA should beat Stanford by more. This should be the 42-7 game we're talking about.
This next one's bad too.
Number 14, Utah survives a final quarter surge from Washington State, winning 21-17.
I thought they would handle this a lot better.
I was not expecting a ton because Washington State plays these kind of teams well.
At home.
At home. Yeah, yes, you're right. At home. But still, 4 points for Utah does not look great with other things that have happened this season when they're talking about their argument for being a contender.
Just to keep winning. I mean, as long as them, Oregon, USC, UCLA keep winning, it's going to do wonders for the Pac-12 down the line.
Yeah, down the line. I'm just saying this year for Utah and in their statement they were trying to make, I think this kind of win isn't showing much.
Number 15, Ole Miss takes down the Aggies of Texas A&M, 31-28.
I feel like we haven't not highlighted on this show enough Texas A&M. How about they suck?
Or the shit that Jimbo Fisher talks.
Yes. The fact that he ran his mouth all offseason, came in with the number 1 recruiting class in the nation, and has laid a freaking dookie in the SEC.
And then I only caught the halftime, like before. What are you going to do, Jimbo? And he was like,
Well, I think I saw he had a quote too that said, I mean, for as bad as we're playing, I should get some good recruits. I think they can come in here and play right away.
Like, no one's going to come play for you.
Not when you talk as much shit as you do, and you get just shown up.
Does Jimbo have a job at the end of this year?
Yeah. I mean, he's
at Texas A&M.
Yeah, paid him too much money.
He ain't going nowhere.
Speaking of talking shit, did you guys hear the question Lane Kiffin was asked at the end of the game?
I didn't hear the question, but his response was good.
I think they asked him what was he going to be for Halloween, and he goes,
"Okay,
yeah, maybe Jimbo will lend me a Joker costume or something."
Yeah, because he called him and Nick Saban clowns. Yeah, it was good.
That is a good one.
I love Lane Kiffin.
I don't like Lane Kiffin at all, but that's
you're wrong. You're fucking wrong. I'm sorry. You're wrong.
Now we have to do the E rating.
Oh, you're so wrong.
Did Ole Miss take care of business here?
Yeah, 31-28.
Yeah, Ole Miss took care of business here. Texas A&M, even
Well,
though
you guys just said Texas A&M was
No,
garbage.
even
and the
though
15
they
ranked
are-
I don't think they
team
took care of
compared to
beat
business.
them
their
by 3.
expectations,
I do not share Alex's opinion.
compared to their expectations, the expectation of Texas A&M was that they were going to be in the college football playoff at the end of the year. So any team that beats them has handled their business.
You can't take the expectation of the beginning of the year versus the expectation going in this game.
No, I can
This
do
should
that.
have been this
Because
should
if I
have
go
been the
back to
light.
Utah-
Oh my god!
If
This
I
should
go
have
back
been
to
the
Utah and
lightweight
Washington
game.
State, Washington State was not expected to be a playoff team. Utah might have been. So for Utah to beat them by 4, to me, I'm like, that's a problem. Ole Miss wasn't supposed to be a playoff team. Ole Miss has had a decent season. Ole Miss beating a supposed to be playoff team, just beating them is where you called handle your business.
This should have been a lightweight game.
Whatever. Moving on.
You two aren't allowed to talk to each other anymore. Notre Dame continues their positive trend in recent weeks, being number 16 Syracuse 41-24.
I think this secured Notre Dame's coaching
Yes.
situation.
Yes.
For now.
That
Yeah.
says we started off slow because we had a new coach and we were figuring things out.
Yeah.
And Syracuse is no longer good.
I mean, they're still good, but they aren't.
They're
Don't-
top 25.
Yeah, they're just not
Not
dominant.
not 2 weeks from now, they won't be.
No, yeah, probably not.
No, they had a good run.
Yeah, they did. I agree, but now they're starting to play teams.
Snaps for
That's
Syracuse.
the issue.
He tried.
Hey, Syracuse is bowl eligible. That's all they care about.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
UCF topples number 20 Cincinnati 25-21.
That's a good game.
Ooh,
That's
Luke.
one of the
Luke-
best games of the week.
That's a bad loss for Luke Fickle.
He looked dejected too.
Yeah, he knows it.
They snapped his 19 game conference win streak.
Yeah. That's not good.
Now we're saying that it's Cincinnati. I mean,
Yeah, but he was trying to erase that right there. He was trying to erase that. Well, it's Cincinnati.
exactly. Is Luke Fickle still a good coach? Yes, I do believe Luke Fickle still a good
Yeah.
coach. Cincinnati's still a good ball team. Yes, I believe they're still a good ball team. UCF is too. Is Cincinnati the powerhouse that we thought maybe they might have a chance to show up and be? No. But they had a magical season last year, and Luke Fickle's still a decent coach. And I think this kind of loss here is what might push him to jump into like a Power 5 conference. And
He
Well,
will be
isn't
in Power
Cincinnati-
5.
Yeah, Cincinnati's going to the Big 12, aren't they?
Yeah.
yes, I mean, okay, yes, they are. I mean,
Yeah.
as of right now, I can see him. Luke Fickle, I think last year would not have considered leaving Cincinnati.
Well, he didn't. That's why he's still there.
Never mind, go on.
All right, number 21 North Carolina outscores Pitt 21-0 in the fourth quarter to win 42-24.
Eat shit, Pitt.
Number
Yeah,
24 NC State pulls out a close one against Virginia Tech 22-21.
F Virginia Tech.
I don't like the fact that NC State had to pull. This is not a good win for NC State, and that keeps them ranked in the top 25. But that's another team that won't stay there.
Yeah, Virginia Tech's terrible. I mean, WVU beat them. They're not good.
And lastly, Missouri goes to number 25 South Carolina and comes out with a 23-10 victory.
Oh, this was miserable. This whole game was bad. Spencer Rattler is such a hot, cold quarterback. Good grief.
I don't know, did you guys ever watch whenever he was on that Netflix series QB1?
No.
Yeah, I'm glad he's losing.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. I didn't watch him on that, but I saw clips after that he's kind of an arrogant bastard.
You know what? He reminds me of Tate Martell, the way he just carries himself.
Yes. I agree.
Right. That wraps up the top 25, which gets us into the Big Ten. Jim, take it away.
Minnesota blanks Rutgers, which is kind of sad. Like Greg Schiano, I thought would have that shit together in year 2, but whatever. Iowa explodes for 33 points. That's the explosion in Iowa,
Loads for 33 points.
beating Northwestern 33-13. Illinois keeps their strong season rolling, beating Nebraska 26-9. That was a good game. Watch part of that game.
Mhm.
They got some weapons that I did not see in the Ohio State game. Moving
Illinois?
on. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a strong running attack, and they have a couple good skill players outside of that. Yeah.
Ohio State uses the huge fourth quarter to erase a small deficit and continues their path to the game. beating number 13 Penn State 44-31. I'm going to say my piece, and you're only going to hear this one time. James Franklin did the best coaching I've seen him do in years. And it's not his fault. This loss is not on James Franklin.
So I might have jinxed this game because
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for bringing this up.
You're right. I'm gonna rip the Band-Aid off. There was a point where Penn State looked good, and I was like, holy shit, they might beat Ohio State right now. And I texted Muff and I was like, we're not saying anything about this to Jim Wright until like the very end. Like, we're not gonna stir the pot. And he was like, I'm not gonna stir the pot. You can do whatever you want, but there's still way too much time left in the game. So I flipped back over to the West Virginia game and I'm watching it, and I had no idea what happened. And Muff just texted me and says, see, I told you way too early. And I went back and it was when they scored, when Ohio State scored 2 touchdowns in 30 seconds. And I was like, oh, sorry, Muff. I did that.
Yeah,
I will tell you.
Say that number 44 just took the game over in the fourth quarter.
Yes. I will tell you that I got up, and when they botched that whole trying to score points and Stroud threw an interception at the end, I threw a fork across my house. Well, I was so mad.
That's what I was picturing in my mind, and I'm like, would Jim do this to me right now if WVU was playing Pitt? He would harass me, but I don't want that, and I always want to be the person that's like, I didn't do that to you, so I didn't say a word. And part of me is afraid I talked about the no-hitter kind of thing by texting Muff and saying, are we going to talk about this or not?
Yeah.
And I will give Muff credit. He goes, there's way too much time left in the game. I'm not saying a word. You do whatever you want to do. And I said, okay, me neither.
It was a good game.
It was a good game. It was fun to watch. I flipped between that and W game. It was a good game to watch.
I only got to watch the second half.
Blowing things out.
Yeah, I only got to watch the second half. So the first half I was keeping up with every 10 to 15 minutes, checking some plays and some scores and stuff like that. So I was like, and when it started, I was like, oh, well, here we go. This is what it's going to be. And then I was like, oh, some things have happened. And I was like, oh, we're going to get to watch the second half of a competitive game.
So my uncle's a diehard Ohio State fan. He graduated undergrad there and medical school there. And he was texting me. He actually does genuinely root for the Mountaineers. I'll give him that. So he texted me go Bucks, go Mounties. I'm ignoring he was laughing because I was ignoring the thing. I'm yeah, so glad it's football season. It's all I would say is not openly sporting. And then he was okay, hope to see you soon. And he's go Bucks. I'm fine, whatever. I was part of me wants to root for you because I want you to be happy, but
your quarterback is shit, Muff.
He really is kind of shit, but he has records.
That's because he's been there. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, when they were talking about his records, part of me wanted to be at what point do we average in if he was only there for a normal amount of time?
Well, I mean, it's Trace McSorley is the records he's breaking right now. Trace was there for 3 solid years.
Yeah. 3 years is less than the 7 that freaking Sean Clifford's been there.
Fair enough.
I literally thought after that second interception, I was well, he's getting hurt. He gutted it out. I'll give him kudos for that. But I thought, well, he's gone after that second
to say that he sucks, I think, is a bit of a drastic take on him. He's not the quarterback to take them to the next level. He's the quarterback to take them where they're at now.
I'm surprised
to keep that ship rolling.
I'm surprised that Sean Clifford and McSorley are the record holders of Penn State.
Well, you got to think.
When you think
prior to that, you had Christian Hackenberg, who broke most of Kerry Collins's records, I want to say.
But do you want to the storied history of Penn State? It surprises me that there's not bigger names than those.
Not the quarterbacks, Alex. That wasn't the storied history.
Right.
Well, no, since we're speaking of records, I know that has nothing to do with Penn State or Ohio State. But did you guys see when Dion was on game day and they were talking about how he is top Lee Corso for that Florida State? He goes, yeah, but they didn't throw the ball to me that much.
Yeah, I did.
My last point about the Penn State game, that formation that they did to Ohio State, where they would come up and then they would shift out.
Yeah.
Where they kept saying, well, they have 3 plays out of this shift. I don't know how Ohio State fixes that. Like, how do you prepare for that? And if I'm James Franklin, I'm doing that shit every time. Every time, because it's impossible to beat. And then, and Sean Clifford knew what he was doing with it. Like, oh, you're going to cover this? I'll run. You're going to cover that? I'll throw here. Like, just do that every time.
Triple option, make it work.
Just do it. And you'll win more games. It was impressive. I was like, every time he did that, I was like, shit, there's a first down for sure. It was impressive. That's why I was like, well, James Franklin, that's smart. I can't talk shit on James Franklin on the show now.
For now.
For now, yeah.
Okay. Alex, run us through the Big 12. Yep.
Oklahoma, right, beats Iowa State 27-13. Baylor takes down Texas Tech 45-17, which I would make a comment. This is the weirdest. So you have the Big 12 is almost in two sections here. The top section and the bottom section. Because the bottom section, WV beats Baylor and then gets whooped by Texas Tech. But then Baylor goes and whoops Texas Tech. We all just beat up on each other in this debate. So number 7, TCU, goes down into Morgantown. And despite a valiant effort from the Mountaineers, the Horned Frogs come out with a 41-31 victory, which should have been a 31-30. Sorry, I have to do my math.
34
victory. You're right. Yeah. Should have been a 31-34 victory, but they scored a last-second garbage time touchdown. Number 22, Kansas State, pleads their case for Big 12 supremacy with an absolute whomping, demolishing win over number 9, Oklahoma State, 48-0. The largest shutout victory of a top 10 team in the history of football.
All that says to me, that whole rundown is the Big 12 sucks.
First of all, this is the shit that pisses me off about you, Jim. This is the shit that pisses me off. If this was Big 10 scores, you'd be like, look how good they are. They all beat each other because they're so good. But because it's the Big 12, they all suck. Sorry. Man, you just push that button.
Sorry to everybody's eardrums right there. I apologize.
Wow, you knew what you were doing there, and you knew you had pushed the needle enough that I was about to lose it. And I finally lost it. The Big 12 doesn't freaking suck. They beat up on each other.
Alex, stop talking. Jim, stop laughing. Nate, your thoughts.
No, I was just going to say, I think the only thing that this really proves is how balanced the Big 12 is with each other. They don't have a dominant one or two teams other than like TCU right now, which you look at the Big 12 football, they're going to lose at some point. That's just what it is. So right now it's TCU and then the rest of the conference.
Yeah.
True.
Because they're all really good.
Alex,
I wouldn't say they're all really
don't
good.
Double down on this, Alex. Don't double down, please.
I double down on my point that it's not a terrible conference. They're just all decent teams that are beating up on each other.
Oh man, that was so fun.
You knew that was coming one day, and you just finally hit the button.
I make a case that Iowa State should join the Big 10.
But it has anything to do.
Are you high?
They hold these Big 12 teams to
right.
low scoring games. Join the Big 10.
Let's move on to our polls.
Okay.
It's uglier
So the AP has, I think I'm reading this right. Georgia won. They're saying a tie between Tennessee and Ohio State at 2, which is ridiculous. Michigan 4, Clemson 5, Alabama 6, TCU 7, Oregon 8, USC 9, UCLA 10. Coaches have it: Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, Michigan, Clemson, Bama, TCU, Oregon, USC, Ole Miss. I have it: Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio State, Michigan, Bama, Clemson, TCU, Oregon, Oklahoma State, USC. Before I get into you guys, my reasoning was difficult. I would probably put Bama at 4, but Bama was on a bye, and I used the Muff logic this time.
So, Jim, I don't know if this is a typo.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma State just got beat 49-0.
Yeah, that's a typo. That's my fault. It should be USC at 9.
I figured it was last week's, yes. See, I was
An
hoping.
Ole Miss at 10. Thank you, Alex.
I was hoping.
An Ole Miss at 10. That's mine. Muff, go ahead.
Okay, I have Georgia at 1, Ohio State at 2, Tennessee at 3, Michigan 4, Clemson 5, Bama 6, TCU, Oregon, USC, and Ole Miss round it out. Ohio State jumps to 2 on mine because I think that the win over Penn State is more impressive than Tennessee's win over Kentucky, who's been on a downward trend.
That's fair.
You guys' takes are terrible this week. It almost hurts me.
We freaking match.
Georgia. No, sorry, you're right. But yours were from now it's Muff, but yours were from earlier. Georgia won, obviously. You can't argue it. They need to be number 1 until they lose. Tennessee 2 came in, took care of Kentucky. Dashed into that. They let Kentucky come to them, took care of it. Ohio State won this week. Keep them at 3. I'm cool with that. Michigan, Clemson. I'm gonna go TCU, Bama, just because I think there's more competition in the SEC.
That's why TCU jumped them.
Yes, I think you already have Georgia, Tennessee, and I'm just going to be honest how I think that people think. You already have Georgia, Tennessee out of the SEC. You have Ohio State, Michigan out of the Big Ten. You have Clemson out of the ACC. I think it's time for a Big 12 team. If you're looking between the two and you're thinking what those people are thinking, they're going to put TCU first, then Bama, literally 6 and 7. It's not going to matter because the playoff of 4 this year. And then I'll go Oregon, USC, and I'll put UCLA because I think UCLA would beat Ole Miss.
That would be a game.
That would be a great
I
game.
would love to see that in a bowl game, UCLA Ole Miss.
That would be a great game. I think I would be team UCLA in that game, but that's my top 10.
All right, Nate, you're still with us?
I am.
What are your thoughts on the top 10? Anything that you would like to see different?
No, I think definitely the top 4 are the true top 4, no matter what order you put them in. Because, I mean, when you look at the rest of the field, I mean, Alabama's lone loss is to Tennessee in a close game. So, yeah, you keep them up there. Clemson, I don't know if they've really shown anything that makes them a top 5 team. They've had some real ugly-ass wins. TCU, I don't know if I haven't followed them enough to see if they've beaten anybody worth a damn. Oregon's looked really good since getting pounded against against Georgia week 1 or week 0, whatever that is. But, I mean, between Oregon, USC, UCLA, you could throw them in a hat and put them between 8, 9, 10. It doesn't really matter. They're going to beat each other out anyway.
I think, to Nate's point, like I said, the top 4 is top 4, no matter how you skin it. I think you put 5, 6 in a hat, pick them out. I think Alabama, I would say you take Clemson, TCU, Bama, put them in a hat. The only thing that I would say is that Bama can't be any lower than that. 8, 9, 10, you put them in a hat. I think you can go almost 4, 3, 3. And as long as you have the same 4, the same 3, and the same 3, I think we're all like, I think you can put them in any order, and I see your logic. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, the only other team I think that could crack top 10 just based on record alone would be Ole Miss. But I don't think they're better than any of those 3 Packs 12. It can't put them ahead of TCU. I don't think they're better than Alabama or Clemson.
I will tell you next week we're going to expand the polls to 15 because, and I'm not going to prolong football talk today, but there is some funny business going on in the coaches poll and the AP poll from 10 down. There's some 2-loss teams jumping some 1-loss teams that make no sense. And it's all lining up for bowls and who's going to crack the top 10. So next week, we're going to do our own top 15.
Well, isn't this the week where the first college football playoff ranking comes out?
Yeah, the one that really freaking matters. So that's the polls.
And that wraps up this week's edition of
The College Football Breakdown. This is Mount Massive. On Halloween Day, since it's Halloween, we're going to give you the top 5 scariest people in sports. Ooh. I think I'm going to go first. Number 1 for me, Mike Tyson. To me, even at his current state, I would not want to see Mike Tyson in a dark alley. Like he just still scares the shit out of me. Number 2, Ray Lewis. For obvious reasons, I think Ray is a scary man for his alleged murder, and also
Nothing to do with his sports prowess.
he is also a scary individual. Lawrence Taylor is just a crazy son of a bitch and also scary on the football field. I mean, he snapped was Joe Theismann's leg.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Chicken moan.
This is a
Just
bone
my
of contention.
favorite.
But Dale Earnhardt, RIP, Raise Hill, praise Dale. Him behind a wheel made people like tremble when he was behind them. Like literally crap their pants. So
Literally, please wait. So we're saying literally
I'm pretty sure there were literal crapping of pants.
Okay.
But like I feel like I've always had that fear of like the demon car. You guys have seen like the movies about cars that come to
Have
life.
you seen Twisted Metal? Have you ever played that?
Yes.
Yes. My thing is like I always imagined he would be the driver of that car.
I just can't. So I agree. I hear you when you're talking about him in the car. Like I don't just necessarily him in the car, but I picture him outside of the car. And when I picture
Correct.
These people, I'm thinking like if I'm gonna get in a fight and one of these two people has punched me in the face, and it's gonna be Ray Lewis or Dale Earnhardt, I'm gonna let Dale Earnhardt. hit me
Correct.
all day.
It's for what he can do behind a wheel that scares
Okay,
me.
okay.
Like the haunted car with him in it just scares the
Okay.
shit out of me.
Okay, it's your list.
And lastly, Brock Lesnar. Like, yes, he's in the wrestling.
Yeah, but
like even when he was in the cage fighting,
yeah,
like I don't want to see him anywhere. Like I think if I saw him in an airport and he was sitting next to me, I'd be like, I'm gonna move 3 seats. I'm sorry that I'm near you. He hates people.
He does hate
He
people.
genuinely hates people. And I don't want to be one of those people that takes up his air that makes him angry.
fair.
So that's my list.
You should go right down it, Muff.
Yeah, I'll go. My list is no particular order. I'm just looking at a group of 5 people. It includes, and this is I think the only person of this sport, Zdeno Chara from the NHL. In a sport where there is used to be more so the role of enforcer, I think we have to have a scary person in sports, and Zdeno Chara is that current person in hockey, and that's who I'm going to use. The enforcer, the person that goes in, does the dirty work, and nobody wants to fight that guy. So I don't want to fight him either. Next, I have Jack Lambert of Steelers fame, and this is mostly for the famous picture of him with no teeth. And he was just an absolute menace on the football field at a time when you were allowed to be a menace on the football field, and were encouraged to be that way. Number 3, this could also be the controversial type, such as Dale Earnhardt, Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
On the field,
this was almost as bad as Dale Earnhardt for me.
He was a very imposing figure. Like he was a tall pitcher who could just slang it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And he killed a pigeon.
He killed a pigeon.
That'll do it for me too. I agree.
Right.
That would do it for you.
With a baseball in his hand, he
like picture what he can do with it throwing something at you. If he decides he wants to throw an axe at you,
what was the basketball player that killed the bat? Was it Dirk?
Okay.
Was he this guy? I mean, with his bare hand. Sorry, go on to your list.
And then I have Mike Tyson for all the same reasons that Jim mentioned. And the last person on my list is James Harrison, who, not just because he's a Pittsburgh Steeler, but because there are many people in the sports worlds that say that James Harrison is just a scary, scary man.
Is he the one that can squat like a gargantuan amount of weight?
Yeah. And that used to play like volleyball with 50-pound medicine balls.
Yeah, no, I don't want to see him either. I agree with that one.
So mine also is in no particular order. 5 people. Jack Lambert, I'm with Muff. It's mainly that picture that when you think of like scary people, he embodies it. Mike Tyson, Joey Porter was the one. Whenever I think Steelers that I was afraid of, which I know I'm not supposed to just make it a Steeler list, but I'm a Steeler fan. So Joey Porter, James Harrison, and Ray Lewis. The other person on my list, and I debated whether I was going to bring this up or not, but Alvin Kamara. There's something about like the bullhorn, and when he's at his top form running, like today he scored 3 touchdowns, so I think we can give him the shout out. I wouldn't want to stand in front of him when he's running. And I think Derrick Henry with his, I think it's ponytail.
Yeah, I don't want to run. I don't want him
You
running
know what I
that
mean?
many.
Full head of steam. Those kind of guys that are like confident enough in themselves to have that like I'm a
Yeah,
badass look coming at you down the pipe.
yeah, I agree.
It doesn't-
Marshawn Lynch was another one.
Yes, he almost made my list too. This is like recency bias stuff though. So I didn't put them on because in the grand scheme of things, do I think they're ultimately the scariest? No. But those are the kind of guys that like if I had to stand there and take it from someone, they would not be on my list.
Marshawn's on my list because he's crazy.
Yes, all of them kind of are. You have to be crazy to just barrel into people like that.
Yeah, I agree.
And let's be fair, Alvin Kamara has a history of mixing it up a bit.
Well, it's yes, that's true too.
Yeah.
Also a very good point.
So that's our list. If you guys have some scary people that you want to put on our list, shout us out and hit us up on the socials. That's Mount Massive.
You're like, hee-hoo.
And now time for start, bench, cut.
Start bench. Cut.
All right, guys. I got 3, 2 in the spirit of Halloween, 1 in the spirit of college football.
Is this
First
more?
off-
Is this more candy things? Because we did those last week.
No, not candy.
Okay.
Number 1, Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers.
Okay. Question first.
Yes.
From what perspective are we starting benching and cutting?
I knew you were going to do this, so I've thought about it. Okay.
Okay.
Who do you want chasing after you?
Okay. Who are the 3 again? Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers.
Who do I want chasing after me?
Well, no, who do you not? I think it's who are you most afraid of chasing after you, right?
No. It's exactly how I laid it out there.
Oh,
Who do
So
you
you're going to
want?
start the person that you think you have the best opportunity to
Right.
evade.
okay.
Okay. I am going to start. I'm gonna bench Freddy Krueger. I'm gonna start Jason. I'm gonna cut Michael Myers.
What's your logic, Muff?
Well, I don't remember anything about Jason aside from he has a chainsaw, so I can hear him really well.
Jason doesn't have a chainsaw. He's got a cleaver. You're thinking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy.
Well, okay, I'm still.
Well, he
gonna
has.
go-
Yeah, he's had a chainsaw. You're okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so if he's got a chainsaw, I can hear him coming a whole lot better.
Yeah,
Michael Myers always finds people,
he always does.
so I don't even want him there because he silently appears.
Yep.
And Freddy Krueger, I don't like. Freddy Krueger, I don't know. I'm gonna put him on the bench because he can find me in my dreams, but if he's on the bench, I don't think he's searching as hard.
That's good logic. Alex.
I'm starting Michael Myers because I feel most confident taking him on. I'll bench Jason because that would be my second, and Freddy Krueger absolutely. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Cutting Jason, benching Freddy because Freddy freaks me out.
Okay. I'm cutting Freddy because, like, I don't want him to sneak into my dreams.
Wait, benching and cutting is sorry. I meant cutting Freddy.
Okay. Right.
Yes, you know.
I'm cutting Freddy. I'm going to bench Mike Myers. And I'm going to start Jason. Because he's just a big dumb oaf. Okay. Number 2. This is more activities for Halloween and fall, but pumpkin carving, bonfires, haunted houses. Alex.
All right, I'm gonna start bonfires, bench carving pumpkins. Yeah, bench carving pumpkins, cut haunted houses.
Okay, I'm gonna
Okay.
start haunted houses. I'm gonna bench. What was what were the other 2?
Bonfires and pumpkin
I'm gonna
carving.
bench bonfires. I'm gonna cut carving pumpkins.
I'm gonna start the pumpkin carving. I'm gonna bench the bonfires, and I'm gonna cut the haunted houses.
I could do without haunted houses, to be honest.
I just like I don't know anybody in my house that will go to the haunted houses at this point. So
think
That's
this is
what I-
very much a situation of our current life situations here.
Yes.
Gotcha.
All right, now let's rope it back into sports.
All right.
Pac-12, Big 12, ACC.
Okay, I'm going to cut the Pac-12. I'm going to start the Big 12 and I'm going to bench the ACC.
I'm going to start
I know what's coming.
the Pac-12, bench the ACC, cut the Big 12.
Shocker. He literally had 2 Halloween ones for this, and the more we got in a fight, he added this on. Start the Big 12.
If you would have seen the notes, I had this way before all this. Go ahead.
Start the Big 12. No, you didn't even have any of these things on here. I looked.
Keep going.
Start the Big 12, bench the ACC, cut the Pac-12.
Okay, I think you're full of shit, but okay. All right,
That's exactly what I said, but
and that is start, bench, or cut.
Well, because I said it.
This is Quick Thoughts.
Welcome this week to everybody's Quick Thoughts. We'll start in college football. That was probably a little off words. On Monday, October 24th, it is reported that James Franklin said there should be a policy in place to keep teams from going at it in the Michigan tunnel at halftime. Franklin said all there has to be is a 2-minute or a 1-minute buffer in between the two teams. This team is in before that team gets close and however we want to do it, but we're not the first team that's had issues like that. Harbaugh says, like you saw pretty clearly, that, quote, Penn State players, quote, completely stopped. They weren't letting us get up to the tunnel, Harbaugh said Monday. And it just seemed like such a sophomoric ploy to try to keep us out of our locker rooms. And Franklin looked like he was the ringleader of the whole thing.
We're only going to talk about Monday.
Okay.
I will go first.
Okay, Jim, you first.
Hey.
James Franklin. What a brilliant point, James Franklin. Thank you for saying that, James Franklin. Harbaugh, what exactly led you to believe that James Franklin was leading that? Because you can say that it looked like he was doing it, but I know you're not going to give the details. You're just going to point fingers at the head coach of the other team, as you have a history of doing. And you're not going to say whether the tunnel is an issue or not. You just want to point fingers at the other side.
Muff.
if this continues to find its way into quick thoughts from the person who's putting it in here, and this does not result in some type of grand policy or some super cool fist fight in the game, if that does not occur this year, then I refuse to ever talk about this issue into the future.
It's not.
I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you as a follow-up.
Point of clarification. Point of clarification. The
Why?
game at Ohio State.
Muff wasn't done talking.
The game's at Ohio State.
I don't
Jim,
care.
Muff wasn't done talking.
If this doesn't lead into an issue of the game next year, then I never
Thank
want to
you.
talk about this ever again.
Fine.
Okay, Jim, do you have another point you'd like to make?
Nope. I just wanted to clarify with Muff. This can't happen at Michigan Tunnels this year.
Yes, it
All
can.
right.
It has.
All right, next
Not with
topic.
Ohio State.
Next topic. Which
No,
is
no.
basically the same freaking topic. Next topic. No, I'm just kidding.
This is why I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Michigan is investigating what Jim Harbaugh is calling an assault that happened on UM players in the tunnel after the UM versus Michigan State game. Video on social media from the Detroit News showed Michigan State players gathered around Michigan defensive back Jaden McBurrows throwing punches and kicks. Did the tunnel backfire on Michigan? Muff?
The tunnel. They both go in the same spot. It's an issue. We know it's an issue. Big Ten, Kevin Warren, step in, do something about it. End of story. Bye.
Jim, any comments?
I sent you guys the video of that Michigan
Yeah, I
player
saw it.
hopping around, looking like he
Causing
was
a
stirring
problem.
shit.
Causing a problem. I'll give you that. The video looked like he was causing a problem.
I contend again, this is a Michigan baiting other teams to stir shit.
Why we'd have to have two topics to do this.
All right.
Because on Monday there was call for reason, and on Saturday all hell breaks loose, and now we have to do an investigation. Jimmy Harbaugh didn't have a problem on Monday. Well, now you got a problem because your players got their shit kicked in.
So, moral of the story: make two tunnels. Got it.
Yes.
All right. The Big 12
not in the type of way that in training day it was going to happen. Different type of shit kicked in.
All right, moving on. The Big 12 is on the cusp of extending its current television contract with ESPN and Fox, according to ESPN sources. The league is in the final stages of putting together a 6-year, $2.28 billion contract extension that includes a sizable pay bump for schools. The new contract, which takes hold starting in 2025, includes ESPN owning more than 60% of the inventory and Fox adding a sizable portion of college basketball. Jim?
It's a lot of money for a shit conference.
Well, do you have any real thoughts? In case y'all couldn't tell, Muff wins this week. But go ahead, Muff.
ESPN's trying to get their piece of the pie. I mean, this is the SEC's got their piece of the networks. The Big Ten now has their piece, and this is ESPN popping in and trying to get a strong basketball and football conference. So good for ESPN.
Maybe the basketball part, but
all right, we're moving on. It's probably for the best for all our relationships. We're going to the NFL. Tom Brady and wife Giselle have filed for divorce, ending the months of speculation of what Tom's absences were regarding during the preseason and season. How will this impact Tom moving forward, and will he finish out the season? Jim?
It's Muff's turn.
Muff?
I think Alex is the person leading the ship. So if Alex says Jim first, since Jim made himself go first the first one, I think we listen to Alex.
Okay, I feel like he'll finish the season. I feel like this will impact the season. I don't think he'll be. His family's key for Tom. He's made it clear, except for when he wants to play football. But he's made it clear
the
that
football keys for Tom, except when he wants a family.
Right. I feel bad for the guy. Like, you can see it's obviously impacting him. He's one of the hottest bachelors on the market, though. So Tom, look to the bright side. Start swiping left.
Left is no.
He wants to swipe right.
He's got to be picky.
Jim just told you how long it's been since he's been on Tinder.
Right.
That was good. That was good. Hopefully your wife's listening to this. You didn't even know which way to swipe on Tinder.
I think that was strategic.
Muff, do you have any comments on the marriage?
I think I mean, obviously this has had an impact on Tom. It will continue to have an impact on Tom. This is just a filing for divorce. Now comes like the kids and all that. I feel like is about to really get into high gear now, which is obviously going to have an even more significant impact on Tom and how that plays out. So I do think I agree with Jim that he will finish the season. I have some speculation now because they've already kind of started to plant the seed of Tom being part of the Fox broadcast for the Super Bowl. I have a feeling that maybe if he has to draw a line somewhere for his family, because he's already been willing to apparently bust through the other lines that Giselle had tossed out there. I think that might be the one that he has to hold on to is maybe he doesn't get into broadcasting right away, like at the end of the season when they're not in the playoffs.
Do you think that they get back together?
Maybe.
Okay. Let's move on to baseball. The World Series is off to a hot start, with the Phillies and Astros splitting the first two games, with the Game 3 happening today. The cheater bug situation is still in play, as many are questioning if Astros pitcher Framber Valdez has a foreign substance while pitching in Game 2. Valdez appears to be wiping his wrist on every pitch and then wiping that wrist off on his pants before coming off the field. With all of the checks still in place, do we think this is still possible, Muff?
So this was blowing up on Twitter and other places that I was looking, and it was just very odd and peculiar that this man was going to his wrist, then rubbing the ball, and then rubbing his hand off on his pants after he did it, like the same spot on his wrist every time. It was like right below his palm, on the inside of his wrist. There's still all of these, like they're still checking people when they come off the field. And it was very telling that he was rubbing his hand even harder on the outside of his pant leg as he was coming off the field, as if he was trying to rid anything on his throwing hand from what was there. So all these checks are coming, and it's still not hasn't come up with anything. So I'm gonna just go with there's not an issue for now.
But there is another issue. The cheating bastards, Martin Maldonado, may have used an illegal bat sent to him by Albert Pujols as a gift, and he might have used it during Game 1. Pujols was under the grandfathered rule of using this bat, and he decided he wanted to send the bat to his friend Maldonado, and Maldonado may or may not have used it in Game 1. So the Houston Astros are still cheating bastards. One way or another, they can't play it straight. Let's go Phillies.
Moving on to basketball, the NBA is looking into the option of a hard cap, possibly making way for the end of a super team and forcing NBA teams to focus more on player development and avoid tanking. Is this a good move for the NBA? Muff, Jim.
I don't know. I have no idea.
This
Because
is
you
what
got to
I-
figure like the super teams. Well, the super teams you got to figure bring eyes to the game. But the markets where like if you're a fan of a team that's tanking, crushes your market. So it's a draw to me. Like it doesn't really matter.
Muff.
Uh,
Sorry. No, you're not.
I'm good.
I want to make sure you're done before I start talking.
I appreciate you, Muff.
Yeah. So
Muff knows he has the lead right now, so he's going to follow all the rules perfectly.
so I think this is going to be better for the professional game of basketball, but we all know that it's a players league, and it's going to take a lot of time for them to ever push something like this through the players union. I think that's the issue. But for the game, like then you see more of like football, right? We have people spread out. Now we're starting to see the professional teams in football, the NFL teams are starting to figure out how to manipulate the hard cap, right? The cash over cap situation where we just extend contracts out and then figure it out later. So what the Patriots kind of figured out how to do, and then they finally had to rue the day. So I think initially it's a good move for the NBA, but I think the precedent is already set that the NFL has shown how you still combat that to some degree. But I think it's a good move for the NBA to do it. I just don't think they're going to be able to.
That's a good take.
Next, we have a loaded topic. Before yet another Brooklyn Nets loss on Thursday, noted, quote, free thinker, unquote, and basketball player Kyrie Irving took to Twitter to share a link in support of a movie book, Hebrews to Negroes, which has anti-Semitic tropes. Speaking for the first time since he posted about it on Saturday, Irving made it clear he was not going to stand down on what he believed in, despite Nets owner Joe Tsai and the NBA both releasing statements condemning Irving's decision.
Kyrie puts a tweet out there in support of a book/movie that had these anti-Semitic things in it. The league speaks out against him. He says, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I am not in support of what Kyrie did. It is America. Kyrie can do what he wants. Kyrie has to face the heat of what he did, much like Kanye, who was a millionaire/billionaire, did similar putting stupid shit out and now has lost his status. You're gonna
Sorry.
if you're gonna say things, you get what you get. I'm done.
Right, Kyrie is already, flat earther, all of these very controversial takes. Now he starts going into an area where there is a significant history of issue, concern, and death. Right, I don't know if he's ever gone into that realm yet, and unwarranted and just absolutely horrific death. So I think Kyrie's dipping his toes, not even dipping. I think he just jumped right into the pool in a topic that I don't think he's ready to have a real conversation with people about, or or maybe he is, and we just don't want to hear what he has to say. But yeah, I think this is another one of those. Kyrie's going to do Kyrie, and we'll see how much it comes to light of his real opinions and thoughts. Before we get out of this, though, I want Jim to define tropes for me.
I just took that straight from the Rolling Stone headline. It's important that I took that straight from the Rolling Stone headline because every other news source is taking that exactly as it's written. Like CNN, ESPN, everybody's using Rolling Stone's headline because they don't want to mess it up. So it's like, I'll be damned if we are.
Right. So let me just make a statement. That was pulled from the Rolling Stone. That way we are giving credit where credit is due to the headline.
Yes.
Yes. So I'll never root for Kyrie ring again. Hope he loses every game he ever plays it. Moving on.
No, and that is your. I agree with you. That's your stance.
You're right. He has a right as an American to say whatever.
Correct.
But I have a right as an American to hope he loses.
Correct. Correct. So, I'm not going to take that away from you.
All
but I think that he needs to understand that, and I don't know that he does.
No, he thinks that he's right.
Right.
So that was his opinion.
Yeah.
Yes. Moving on to women's basketball. Brittany Griner has begun her 9-year sentence in Russian prison for having hashish oil in her possession in a Russian airport. Do we think she'll serve the whole term? I said ish because it's not really basketball related.
Yeah, I think she might.
Muff?
I think at this point we have to assume that is going to happen. And we're probably not going to hear about it much after the first 6 months, unless it's possibly she's getting out.
Oh, it for sure sucks. So I really didn't feel like too. I mean, like I was into it, but like I didn't like have that like guilty feeling. And you think about 9 years.
Yeah.
Oof. For someone that would not be that in her own country.
I think if you have a political regime change in our country or Russia, she might not serve the whole term. But right now, it's I think she may serve that 9 years.
We'll move on to a new topic. Apparently, that's just called combat sports. It's no longer called fighting or UFC. It's combat sports. Jake Paul beats Anderson Silva in a boxing match over the weekend and then calls out Nate Diaz for his next match, continuing to build the hype for a more marquee matchups to come. Do we admit Jake Paul has any skill at this sport?
Is it me?
Who put that question in there?
I think it's Muff.
Who ended it with, does he have skill in that sport?
Me. Duh.
It wasn't me and it wasn't you. So it was Muff.
Go ahead.
He has skill in the boxing game. You know why he has skill in the boxing game? Because he gets paid money to box. He is a semi-skilled fighter who is an excellent promoter and is an excellent influencer on people's thoughts, opinions, and actions. And for that, he will continue to find ways to make money off of this. Good for Jake Paul. People have been figuring out how to do this, and you're just putting it right in everybody's faces. I don't even have to be good at boxing. I don't even have to be the greatest at boxing to do this. Look at me go.
Jim?
Yeah. I
read someone, and I honestly don't even remember who it was on Facebook. One of my random friends said that they think that these are fixed.
Okay, and I was hoping you weren't going to do it, but you've done it.
I'm going to bring it up only, and I don't agree, but I wanted to bring it up to see what you thought about that comment.
The punch that quote unquote knocked Silva down. I've seen the replay. I've watched it 4 times. That wasn't enough to knock Silva down. It wasn't enough to knock him down. The gloves that they're using in these fights they're giant pillow cushions. So, is the fights fixed? I would tend to say 85%. Yeah, it's fixed. And to Muff's whole point that he just made, Mr. Paul is the ultimate performer, entertainer. This is WWE in a boxing ring. That's what this is. And people are spending $70 every time he comes on the television. So he is the greatest hustler in the world. And then he gets people to bite who are on the tail end of their career or in contract dispute, such as Silva or Diaz, and you got a name, and we're gonna watch it because there's no way you can beat Anderson Silva. There's no way you can beat Nate Diaz. No way. And then Diaz might take a fall and take the money. It's just sad. It pisses me off.
There you go. So I'm gonna throw one more topic in, and it's a Mike Tomlin quote. And
From today?
yes, well, I was listening to local radio, 107.5 around here, plays like all the pregame Steelers stuff. And they did the quote unquote Mike Tomlin show. And they asked him, why do you think that the trade deadline in the NFL isn't as big as the trade deadline in other sports? And his answer, which I actually agree with, but it was another one where I was like, that's a Mike Tomlin quote. Be on the train when it leaves the station.
What?
Be on the train when it leaves the station.
Don't hop on board halfway through is what he's saying.
He's basically saying that the intricacies of the football team are so much more than intricacies of other sports. And he literally said that. He's like, this is the biggest team sport you can ever play. This has more to do with being a cohesive unit than any other sport. So you have to be on the team be on the train when it leaves the station. You can't hop on halfway through, and that's why the NFL trade deadline is not as big of a deal as the NBA trade deadline, the MLB trade deadline, the NHL trade deadline, etc. But I cracked up when his answer was solely be on the train when it leaves the station. I had the same reaction as Jim did. I was like, what?
I don't know that I agree with him.
I part of me agree, part of me sees what he's getting at. And I think it's funny that he said it that way because it's a very Mike Tomlin thing to do.
If Tom Brady said, if Giselle said to Tom Brady, listen, we'll keep our marriage together, but I really want to move to Pittsburgh. And Tom could figure out a way to get traded to Pittsburgh. Mike would be like, come on in, Tommy. And the train station analogy goes out the window. And Pittsburgh starts playing a lot better.
I don't know if Pittsburgh starts winning games. They beat Tom Brady.
That's
But I mean,
good.
like, I'm saying he wouldn't be as willing to say that.
Muff.
I agree with Alex's opinion on, well, I think it's an opinion that football is the ultimate team sport because you have to have 11 people cohesively moving, just like soccer kind of does, in the right direction. And it's difficult. It's difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible because we're seeing it right now with Christian McCaffrey. You can bring somebody in, they can make immediate impact.
Right.
But there are very few, I think there are very few players that can do that and make that type of impact. And I think,
But we've seen it in the super teams where it hasn't worked. Where we've made all these trades and we've done all these things.
so you're making my point.
Muff saying it doesn't work.
I'm saying that
The trades.
there are few exceptions where it can work. We're seeing it work with Christian McCaffrey right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
But that is the exception, not the norm, especially in a sport like football.
Got you.
Sorry.
We saw OBJ make a
that's what I was
last
thinking
year.
about.
Yeah.
And that helped the team. But I think there are, like I said, only certain people at certain positions. I don't think quarterback is one of those positions where you could make that change midway through and make it work.
I literally was leaving church today listening to the radio, and it was that Steelers thing, and I was cracking up. I wrote it down on this piece of paper when he said that I stopped the car, pulled it over to right, be on the train when it leaves the station. I was like, that's a topic I need to bring up.
That is such a Yinzer thing to do, by the way. Like, I was leaving church and I turned on Mike Tomlin because, I heard the word of God and then I had to hear the word of Mike. That's such a Yinzer thing to say.
And to have to write it down and pull over.
Yeah, it was such a good verse.
Type it in my phone. I put it down and took out my little notepad. I
put it right next to my Bible notes.
Not do like a voice memo or something to yourself. It was, oh no, I have to write this down and put quotes.
Yeah.
I didn't even write quotes. You're right.
You did not give, you didn't attribute the quote to Mike Tomlin, but you quoted it.
Put it right next to my Bible on the way home.
And the terrible towel.
We got the
The
Bible.
terrible
Wait,
sound.
things around me right now. We got the Bible. We got my high school rally towel.
Yeah.
And a Mike Tomlin quote.
God bless football.
In
Praise
a whiskey glass.
In a whiskey glass.
This is your Ohio Valley podcast right here, baby.
All right. And that takes us to the end of this episode of Sports Up with Muff on Monday, October 31st. It is Halloween. Hope you enjoy it. Enjoy all the spooks.
Inspect your candy.
Inspect your candy.
Find anything good, let me know.
Enjoy all the spooky things, the spooky stories, all of the costumes, and whatever comes to be. And as always, to help us continue to make this rocket ship go to the moon, you need to tell a friend, make a friend, be